The book I'll be reviewing today is All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. This is such a popular and recent book that I'm not going to go too much into the plot. In general, I found this book to be pretty much a crowd pleaser. I did find it extremely readable. I found it very accessible. I found the story itself to be pretty compelling. But there's something about kind of really intense subject matter, such as the Holocaust or World War II. This kind of fantastical approach to storytelling doesn't do the history justice. One of the things that people loved about the book was that the sentences are so short, which again makes it so accessible to read. Sentences are short, chapters are short. Most chapters are, 2 or 3 pages long. It kind of sets up the story to be somewhat fairy tale-like. And to that point, there is this caricature-esque villainous figure, Von Rumpel, and he is someone who is after this special jewel, using his own greed alongside his determination to extinguish anyone who was not a Nazi sympathizer or just a Nazi. Anthony Doerr imbues those two qualities in this character to make him into the villain. On the opposite end of the spectrum, we have the character of Marie, who's a very bright and sweet and ethical child. And Anthony Doerr decides to make her blind. And after I finished reading the book, I wondered if this was kind of a cheap trick on the part of Anthony Doerr to make the struggle of this child leading up to the climax just all that more moving. It allows us to sympathize with her more. And the criticism of the book that I have read, mainly the New York Times review, made note that her character didn't seem fully developed. I think that may be just the result of Anthony Doerr giving her this handicap. It puts a level of sentiment in the book that I feel could have been developed in other ways. In general, I just found the entire book a bit too fantastical for my tastes. I think that level of fantasy and Anthony Doerr making the whole work kind of a feel-good novel, I think it does do a bit of disservice to the truth and the suffering and the sorrow that happened during World War II and the Holocaust. And that isn't to say that this can't be pulled off well. The book and movie Schindler's List, it doesn't shy away from the suffering that took place. And similarly, the movie Inglourious Basterds, it was fantastical and it was almost a satire, but there was a strong moral message to that movie. So these are things that I felt pulled off some type of message with the theme of World War II and the Holocaust, without the least bit of sappiness. With that being said, since it is a very accessible read and a very affecting work, it is a book that I have recommended to others, and I've even bought 2 or 3 copies of the book to give out to friends. This copy is actually going to a friend of mine next week. It's a quick read, it is suspenseful, you'll want to keep reading, but I personally just felt that something a little bit more interesting could have been done with the story. But I do think that there are other, better, more definitive works about world wars and about the Holocaust. So with that, that's my review of All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. Happy reading.